Have you ever stopped to wonder just how much sugar you consume in a day? It's a question that may seem simple, yet the answer can often be surprising. Let's start with the basics. According to health authorities, the average adult consumes approximately 22 teaspoons of sugar per day. That's nearly triple the recommended daily limit set by the American Heart Association, which is 6 teaspoons for women and 9 for men. For children, it's a similar story. The average child consumes about 19 teaspoons of sugar each day, far surpassing the recommended limit of 6 teaspoons. That's equivalent to eating nearly 5 chocolate bars in a day. It's easy to surpass these limits without even realizing it. Consider a typical day. You might start with a bowl of cereal for breakfast, which can contain up to 3 teaspoons of sugar. Add in a cup of coffee with sugar and cream, and you've already consumed about a third of your daily limit before lunchtime. Lunch might include a sandwich with a side of fruit, adding another few teaspoons of sugar. Then, you might have a soda with dinner, which can contain up to 10 teaspoons of sugar. And if you indulge in a sweet treat for dessert, well, you can see how quickly it adds up. Even foods that don't seem sweet can be loaded with sugar. Foods like ketchup, salad dressings, and even bread can contain hidden sugars. And let's not forget about drinks. Many popular beverages, from sports drinks to fruit juices, are packed with sugar, often in amounts that surpass a can of soda. It's not just about the sugar you add to your food and drink, it's also about the sugar that's already there, hidden in the ingredients list under names like fructose, glucose, and sucrose. So, if you're consuming the average amount of sugar, chances are you're exceeding the recommended daily limit. But what does that mean for your health? Well, that's a conversation for our next scene. Stay tuned as we delve into the sweet and bitter effects of sugar. Sugar isn't all bad, but, like anything, too much can have negative effects. Let's start with the sweet side of sugar. It's not just about satisfying your sweet tooth. Sugar plays an essential role in our bodies. When we consume carbohydrates, our body breaks them down into sugars, particularly glucose. This glucose is our primary source of energy, fueling everything from your morning jog to your afternoon brainstorming session. Moreover, we can't ignore the psychological effect of sugar. It's a comfort food, a reward, a pick-me-up when we're feeling low. The sweet taste of sugar can trigger the release of endorphins, those feel-good chemicals in our brain. It can lift your mood, at least for a little while. But like the last drop of honey that tips the jar, there's a point where sugar's sweetness turns bitter. Consuming too much sugar over a long period can lead to weight gain. It's simple math, really. When you consume more sugar than your body can burn for energy, the excess gets stored as fat. And it's not just your waistline that's at risk. Excessive sugar can lead to tooth decay. Picture this. The bacteria in your mouth have a sweet tooth too. They feast on the sugar you eat, producing acid as a byproduct. This acid can eat away at your tooth enamel, leading to cavities. Furthermore, the long-term effects of sugar extend beyond your teeth. There's a clear link between high sugar intake and increased risk of diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Over time, high sugar levels can lead to insulin resistance, a key factor in type 2 diabetes. As for heart disease, studies show that a diet high in added sugars can increase your risk. The key to enjoying sugar without harming your health is moderation. But what does moderation look like? That's a question we'll tackle in the next scene. Stay tuned. Scene script. Moderation is a word we hear a lot, but when it comes to sugar, what does it actually mean? You might be wondering, well, let's break it down. Think of moderation as the middle ground. It's not about completely cutting out sugar from your diet, nor is it about indulging in every sweet craving that comes your way. It's about finding a balance. It's about being aware of the sugar you're consuming and making sure it doesn't exceed the recommended daily intake. So what does a moderate amount of sugar look like? Well, the American Heart Association suggests that women limit their sugar intake to 6 teaspoons per day, while men should aim for no more than 9. To put that into perspective, a single can of soda often contains around 10 teaspoons of sugar, exceeding both of these guidelines. But it's not just the obvious culprits like soda where sugar hides. It can sneak into your diet through less obvious sources. For instance, a serving of store-bought salad dressing might contain 1 to 2 teaspoons of sugar. Even your morning breakfast cereal, often marketed as a healthy choice, can pack in 2 to 4 teaspoons per serving. This is where the importance of reading food labels comes into play. The nutrition facts panel on the back of your food packaging is your best friend in understanding just how much sugar you're consuming. Look out for words like sucrose, glucose, fructose, maltose, or anything ending in ose. These are all different forms of sugar. But remember, not all sugars are created equal. There's a big difference between the natural sugars found in fruits and dairy products, and the added sugars found in processed foods. The latter is what you want to keep an eye on. So moderation is the key to enjoying sugar without the health risks. But what if you want to cut down on sugar altogether? Well, stay tuned because we're about to explore some sweet alternatives in our next scene. Want to cut down on sugar but can't imagine a life without sweetness? Don't worry, there are alternatives. Let's dive into the world of natural sweeteners. First up is honey, a golden elixir that's been sweetening our lives for centuries. Honey is not only delicious but also packed with antioxidants and nutrients like vitamin B6, thiamine, niacin, and riboflavin. However, it's worth noting that honey is still high in calories and can raise blood sugar levels, just like regular sugar. Next on our list is maple syrup, a special treat from the sap of maple trees. This sweet sap undergoes a heating process that results in the syrup we adore. Maple syrup is rich in minerals like manganese and zinc, and it contains fewer calories than honey. However, similar to honey, it can still spike blood sugar levels, so it's best to use it sparingly. Last but not least, we have stevia, a natural sweetener derived from the leaves of the Stevia rebaudiana plant. Stevia is unique because it's virtually calorie-free and doesn't raise blood sugar levels, making it a great option for those watching their weight or managing diabetes. However, keep in mind that stevia has a distinct aftertaste that some people find unpleasant. It's also much sweeter than sugar, so a little goes a long way. As we explore these alternatives, it's crucial to remember that they are not miracle solutions. They can still contribute to calorie intake and, with the exception of stevia, can still affect blood sugar levels. As always, the key is moderation. Even when using these alternatives, it's essential to keep an eye on overall intake. Just because something is natural doesn't mean it can be consumed in excess. It's important to balance our desire for sweetness with our overall health and well-being. So, there are alternatives to sugar that can still satisfy your sweet tooth. But remember, moderation is key, even with these alternatives. So, we've learned a lot about sugar today, but what's the takeaway message? Let's distill our sweet journey into some key points. Sugar, in its many forms, is an omnipresent part of our diet. It's in our morning coffee, our favorite candies, and often lurking in places we least expect, like our healthy granola bars or that low-fat yogurt. It's not a villain, but a character that requires careful handling. Too much sugar can lead to a host of health problems, including obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. It can also impact our mood and energy levels, leading to that all-too-familiar sugar crash. But it's not just about the physical effects. The mental tug-of-war between our cravings and our health can be just as draining. The crucial element here is moderation. Sugar isn't the enemy, it's the overconsumption that creates problems. It's about understanding that while a sprinkle of sugar can make life sweeter, a dump truck's worth can turn it bitter. We've also dived into the world of sugar alternatives. Honey, maple syrup, stevia. These are all healthier options that can satisfy our sweet tooth without wreaking havoc on our bodies. But remember, these are still forms of sugar and should also be used in moderation. Understanding the sugar content in our food, being mindful of our intake, and making informed choices. That's the recipe for a balanced diet. It's about swapping that sugar-laden soda for a refreshing fruit-infused water, or replacing the candy bar with a piece of dark chocolate. Small changes can make a big difference. So, as we conclude our journey, let's remember that the world of sugar isn't as black and white as it seems. It's a spectrum of choices, and it's up to us to make the ones that best suit our health and lifestyle. Remember, it's not about cutting out all sugar, but about making smarter choices to find the right balance for you. So, keep the sweetness in your life, but don't let it become bitter.